Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here for Index podcast series, Designing Beyond Spaces, and here we are going to discuss about well-being, sustainability, empathy, and design. And I am Christine Espinosa-Erlanda, your host for today, an architect and associate director for Godwin Austen Johnson. I've been in the region for the past 2 decades, and Godwin Austen Johnson, or GAJ, is a British founded architectural practice established within 1989 and traces its roots back in 1847. With over 4 decades of regional experience, we are well known for the architecture that is contextual, honest, and technically rigorous, creating the spaces that responds to our end users, the clients, the context itself, believing that our design tests the stand of time. And here with me is Sandra Woodall, a friend and an architect, design principal of Tangram Golf. Hello, Sandra, and welcome to our Index podcast. So today it's about well-being where we're going to be discussing. It's not the buzzword. It's not anything about glittery photos. For you, what does well-being mean in terms of architecture, and how do you personally describe it?
Well, Christine, at Tangram, of course, we believe that architecture is all about people. It's about life, and it's about people and planet.
Mm-hmm.
As designers, we have the responsibility to create a built environment that promotes life, that provides resilience for the advancement and betterment of life. We at Tangram, we have a tremendous background in the design for health and well-being.
Yes.
This is our 4th decade now in the region, delivering our first scheme in the mid-90s in Saudi Arabia. And personally, I'm a long-standing member of Architects for Health, a UK organisation that promotes leadership, and it's a non-profit organisation for those interested in improving health and well-being through design.
Mm.
We share best practice, knowledge, innovation, and thought leadership in the built environment. And Tangram, we've practiced healthcare architecture and design for health and well-being for 2 generations now across the world. And personally, I'm an advocate for health and well-being here in the region.
Yes.
I deliver CPD for architects and designers across the region. Last year, I worked with the Architecture Design Commission in Saudi Arabia with Health and Wellbeing CPD, and this is now available for all RIBA architects and designers on the RIBA's Academy website.
It's amazing how RIBA and yourself and within Tangram Architects do introduce and integrate well-being in all your projects. And well-being is been diluted and being used in several contexts, be it only in the glittery images or is just about aesthetics. I just wanted to make this into a conversation rather than a direct interview or a direct lecture.
Mm-hmm.
I think moving beyond the aesthetics and efficiency towards human experience, can you maybe expound on that?
Well, health and well-being for all of us designers is a critical pillar of sustainability.
Yes.
We have responsibilities which enable spaces that we create, enable the people and the planet to thrive. So we have, for health and well-being now, we have data which shows us the effects of our everyday environments on the health and well-being of ourselves. So we must create spaces that promote better, healthier lifestyles and put life-centric thinking and approaches at the heart of our designs. I design for impact for health and well-being. I design for the way that the body reacts to its environment, our body chemistry and our physiological functions or mental health are shaped and determined and impacted by our environments. Sleep, energy, vitality, mood,
Yes. Yes.
emotions, fatigue,
True. And stress.
concentration, and creativity, which is
Exactly.
key to all of us designers, and productivity. They're all shaped by the environment in which we inhabit. So for our health and well-being, we need to design to ensure that people have connections. We need connections with each other to live healthier. We need connections with nature to live healthier. This grounds us in our biological and our physiological health, and helps promote better ways of living and better ways of dealing with the daily stresses that we all come across.
Interesting how you mentioned about how we designers affect how life is being experienced. Have you imagined, for example, in latest demands, for example, in modern day era, you would see beautiful buildings, really beautiful buildings that picturesque images, but when you go inside the building or just be within, suddenly something is off,
Yes.
and you know the emotion is not connected, and you
No.
feel, although you're in a beautiful environment physically, visually, as I mentioned, but the feeling is not there, and it affects you, and that is where I think in designing well-being, you have to have the empathy within. You would understand how the space will be utilized, and yourself has been working on a lot of hospitals and all these projects within the region, and you have given CPDs with Reba, and I applaud you for that. And yeah, I think that's really needed, particularly within our context, and most especially for us architects who are designing all these structures. That how can you be creative when you're in a place that pushes you to be stressful?
Yes, I think we have positive and negative impacts on people as they enter our spaces. As designers, we need to create spaces that are comfortable, that are engaging, and that are responsive to occupant needs. So we need to know from people, and there's much data from scientists and certainly health scientists, clinicians, doctors, etc., which show how our bodies react to spaces in terms of the amount of light, the colours, the
Natural
textures,
light,
the materials,
the noise,
the noise is a
everything
key
that adds
factor.
into your
Yes,
stress as well.
absolutely. And also the way that the spaces flow as we move around them.
Wayfinding, it's really
Absolutely.
important. That's part of well-being. When you're in a place and you get confused, then that's not helping you out in your well-being. Imagine an elderly walking around getting lost, then that's not really thinking about well-being. Maybe what I can take from there is that when you speak about well-being, you think about the person, the people, the human that's going to be using the space rather than the skyline or the lower energy, anything beyond. I think we forget about the human who's going to use that at the end, and that's secondary compared to what our clients are pushing us forward.
Well, I think as far as it goes with clients, if we create a user experience that's responds to the building user needs, that improves our clients' business.
True.
Those people will go
100%.
back. They want to take apartments there,
100%.
offices, work there, meet people there, etc. I mean, so user experience today we know is a crucial differentiator for the environments that we create, and also as business owners.
That's true.
That's what brings back our clients.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to have repeat work if we get this right for them. And their businesses thrive as well.
Adding into that one, I've heard this from one of our clients. So we've been doing a lot of education projects within the region. And a client came back to us and told us that you can count on any school within the UAE. And I tell you, we had the most less energy being used in the building. And we had a lot of savings on that just because of the sustainability and the well-being. And on one of our schools, the Jaffa Center, which has been awarded with REBA in sustainability, we had reports that the students there had lesser absenteeism The effect of having a biophilia within the space, natural light, it encouraged them to be creative and encouraged them to study more. That this particular space within the Jafar Center has been widely used and really popular within the students, and even improve the way the teachers were teaching. So I think that's how, yeah, our our the way of being empathizing with the end users and
Yes.
understanding how they use our spaces, being open to the modern needs, but also thinking about their feeling, how it will be inside, actually does add up together with our well-being, aside from all the technologies that you add in, the colors, as you mentioned, natural light and wayfinding, all of this merging in together to create the whole experience and add up to a better human that's using it.
Absolutely. There's so many layers to this, to the
Exactly.
design thinking and the strategies. You said biophilia, color. I mean, color, Tangram. Back in the 90s, we were originally from the UK, from London, and our founding partners, they would go around the universities in the south of England teaching the psychology of colour
Colors,
and how
yes.
it impacts your designs
Yes.
as interior architects, as designers, and how it affects the spaces that we create. And also biophilia, very, very important. The bringing in of nature, the connectivity to nature.
Yes.
Nature, it's been proven. There is data that shows that those of us within the natural setting, whether that's views of nature or
Yes.
experience of nature next to us or within it, it decreases our anxiety levels, decreases depression.
Yep, definitely.
For schools and workplaces, it increases the attention capacity to
That's
think. It helps us to better recover from stress and illness
Yes.
if we have contact
Yes.
with nature.
Yeah.
And it increases our psychological well-being. I think if we look at it from the point of view of attention capacity, we have a strong history, 2 generations worth of history of designing healthcare.
Yeah.
And certainly when we're designing laboratories and spaces where concentration is essential, and considered and dedicated and long-term concentration on what the actual job task is being
Yes.
done. For example, when we design laboratories, there's certain roles within this part of the healthcare that where the laboratory, the technicians, and the analysts, they're only allowed, for example, to use microscopes. Every hour they're only allowed 50 minutes, and for 10 minutes they must step away from the microscope, go and rest and relax, recover, rest their eyes, rest their brains, rest totally, so that they can come back and have higher concentration levels and improve their reviews and analysis and the work tasks and the productivity by having that rest. So we always create courtyards or views from windows where people have resting areas,
Yes.
staff provided for staff, etc. So it is critical in schools, in healthcare, in the workplace. We all
Exactly.
need this break.
Even in hospitality projects that we are working on. So with Godwin Austen Johnson, I'm part of the hospitality team in the master planning and courtyard spaces, breakout spaces, things that we can learn from the past, particularly here in the Middle East with all the passive design. It's really applicable to the way we design and integrate it in our projects nowadays. You mentioned about stepping away and having that break time just away from workplace, even if it's in laboratory. That's something that we could add in commercial projects for offices. This is really important, particularly with students as well for education, that students there's no one type of learning for any student. So one student would want to sit on one corner. A student would probably want to learn with friends. A student will speak to the wall or anything.
Absolutely.
So it's just this tiny personification that you won't realize that all of it together are part of the architect designing for the person in it. So which is really a huge topic, which is what I like about this one. And knowing that humans, in recent studies, yeah, all of us spend 90% of our time indoors. So why not? Of course, well-being should be integrated in each and every project, not just healthcare, be it
Abs-
everywhere.
Absolutely, all of them. And what you don't see in
Yes,
every design brief is a breakaway space.
that's
When
true.
do you ever find that within your client list of what they require for the project?
No,
We
yeah.
must show them that this is essential to
Yes.
encourage all users to take a break from what they're doing. We can't constantly. How many of us are constantly? And we see our children constantly on the screens,
Yeah, yeah.
24/7. Break away from it. Just at home, in our own spaces. And as you say, 90% of our time is spent indoors. And you know that of those, at least 7 or 8 hours a day we spend in our bedrooms. That,
Uh,
for most of
Definitely.
us, is almost 20 years of our lives we
Right.
spend in our bedrooms. We need to
Imagine.
get that
Yeah.
environment correct.
Yes,
So
yes.
we
And
can breathe better, we can sleep better,
you
we can
have,
rest better,
yeah,
recover.
less stress, cortisol levels are lower. Hmm. Interesting. I hope we can say that to all the design professionals that this is our environment. Moving on to the topic where we are to discuss sustainability and well-being. Are they could we separate them, or is that something imparable? Does it have to come together? Because I know, as an architect, I know the answer for this, but I wanted to understand from your
Yeah.
perspective.
Well, from my perspective, architecture is about people and
Yes,
sustainability is about life.
I love that. I love that. I love
So,
that.
so I think that we need to ensure that health and well-being is a very important layer of the sustainability which we practice. It's not, life is not just people, it is about the planet and ensuring that together we can thrive and create futures
Yeah.
which are resilient and to promote all of us to thrive. I think if we're looking for sustainability, many of the health and well-being benefits of our spaces, external as well as internal, they promote sustainable design.
Yes.
So, for example, if we look at our outdoor spaces where we have green spaces, we plant trees, we
Yes.
have landscaping, this
Seriously.
promotes the connectivity with nature, which
True.
we just talked about,
Yeah.
and how that impacts a person's well-being. But also it improves our air quality because the toxins in the air are filtered out through the through the trees and the greenery that we've planted in our places. So the air quality improves the health of the planet and improves the health of the person. We reduce by greenery, we reduce the urban heat island effect,
Yes.
which is a major factor on many cities across the world,
True.
not just here in the desert regions,
No.
where we can help to create environments that aren't constantly being bombarded by the heat and by the sun and bringing the destruction to the earth and to the planet that we've created so far with all this concrete and all this hardscape that we've developed. Externally working, creating these environments, we can create spaces for social interaction.
Yes, it's part of
Yes.
the culture to gather. Yeah, knowing the culture as well is quite important in designing for well-being. You mentioned about indoor air quality. I read through that with the World Green Building Council, in their studies, uh, the quality of indoor air quality increases productivity by 11%. So imagine that applied to all the buildings that we have. That's amazing. Then people will be towards productivity and towards meeting the best version of yourself. And given that we're here in the region, sustainability is and climate and resilience, those are things that are urgent in terms of conversation because we are living it. Like designing in a 45-degree heat, it's not, you couldn't fake the feeling and the comfort. So that's something that has to be really integrated. And I think within the region, they are successful in applying that, knowing from lessons from the past in terms of the wind tower, the courtyard spaces that we all are using, the thresholds, the materials, deep recesses so that you'd have filtered lights. Those add in, and it's not aesthetics, but it's part of well-being.
It is part of well-being, and not just for people, but also for the living world around us.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, here in Dubai, we delivered the very first green roof building for the Dubai government. So providing for the green roof, of course, protects from the overhead heat, sun rays of the sun. So creates every 5,000 square meter of green roof, reduces the internal heat by
Yes.
3 degrees.
Wow.
So that improves the comfort levels indoors, which reduces the amount of comfort cooling we need, certainly during the shoulder months, certainly, that would extend those periods. And reduce the cost of air conditioning and reduce the amount of energy which we use, which all goes back into what we know as being the sustainability
Yes.
the parameters that we need to work with today. So it's all connected.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And designing for better spaces internally, designing externally. I mean, the governments here, both Dubai government and Abu Dhabi government, have as high priority livability.
Yes.
And how people's health and well-being will be improved by the livability of our cities, our existing cities and our new cities. Dubai, of course, the Dubai 2040 plan is as key priorities on creating spaces, outdoor spaces, green corridors, places where people can get out and walk,
Comfortably.
improve their
Yes.
health by movement, which
Safely,
is
comfortably.
safely, and we're talking a 20-minute city
Exactly.
in the region now. And Abu Dhabi government, of course, is still the same. It's Abu Dhabi government just in the last few months has announced tremendous investment in livability of its existing and its new cities that's been created across the emirate. So these impetus will help to create healthier lifestyles for us all. It'll make it easier for us to access healthy lifestyles. We don't have to think, I just got home from work, I'm exhausted, and now I've got to go to the gym.
That's true.
Let's walk from our office to the metro, or from our office to the home, or from our office to whatever amenity we're looking for during the day. If we walk more, if we take the lift less, if we take the escalators less.
We'll be healthier, more
much-
comfortable and productive and creative, more
Absolutely.
creative. So that sets it. So I think we can establish that sustainability and well-being is not separate items.
No.
This coming together and inseparable. It's, let's say, it's the foundation of sustainability. It has to be together.
It's the part of each other, yes.
I've mentioned earlier about designing within a 45-degree heat. It's something that you couldn't fake, and we all have to add this in as a challenge on top of our brief and client brief. So let's speak about climate responsive design and human responsive design. You cannot fake comfort. When climate leads to design, you have courtyards becoming a thermal buffer, and you have the wind towers for natural ventilation and lighting. And most of these are strategies that has been there for years within the region. And some of it are now translated into modern times.
That's absolutely true. And it's key for us to look at the lessons we've learned from the past and why we designed like that, and to reinterpret it into our modern day lives. We live differently today.
Yes.
We build differently. We build at scale and at speed, which is very different from how we dealt with living at one with the earth in the past. So today we have to be more smarter. We have to look at how can we bring in this knowledge, reutilize it in today's terms, and how it supports modern life.
Yes.
So it's key. I think examples of looking at the modern parts of the city. We don't just have to recreate what was existing, copy and paste. We can do it very, very sustainably for modern terms. If you look at, we have now, for example, the courtyard spaces, creating livable outdoor space where we can connect together and meet. We have the rooftops where people would sit and enjoy the stars and such. We can still do that today. We've got fight our way past hundreds of square meters of plant and AC units banging away, but we can do it differently. We can look at how we can create spaces at different levels and different layers across our environment. We can look at shadings as we're walking along the streets. Some of the metro stations have shaded walkways to points of destination points for travellers, for users of commuters, but not all points do. So we can look at how can we create tree lines or shaded structures, or even water mist sprays, or even some parks. Certainly in the UAE now, you have areas where there's cool air being blown out from the ground. So when you're walking across
the recent news, you have this.
So we can do many if to create ways of using the city based on what we did in the past. And if we do that, if we get away from having the highway and the car route as the main throughfare of our cities, and it's all about walkability and people getting around and accessing and connecting, then we'll probably go a long way into recreating the principles of the past, but in modern terms, in how we need to live today.
I think what's more important to add in is that not everything from the past could be applied in modern times. As you mentioned, we use the spaces differently from how it was in the past. It's more about multi-usage of a certain space, and not everything could be brick and mortar. And there are technologies available. And what's good about the industry is how it's evolving, and from the materials to the supplier, to the supply chain, to the construction, to architects and designers, everyone working towards well-being and comfort. We're saying it's sustainability, but at the end of it, it's how the spaces we built is getting used, and how people, our end users, will be living in it. Will it be adding into their comfort? Will they feel more? It's more cognitive. It's more intuitive as well.
Absolutely. So, I think understanding people's behaviours and how they use the spaces. This is critical. We can map this. We understand how people move around the city. They don't. We've all seen the photos of the parks where the pathway is
and then the person was moving on the other.
It's so pristine and clean and never used. And then the people have made their own pathways across the landscape in the parks. This is human nature. Let's
design. This is what we love about our profession, right? We think about the space and imagine how it could be, and then somehow, when you just impose what you wanted and not think about the end user, or not even listening to the end user, you somehow design it differently, like you're just forcing the ego. But if you have within the design process the part where you speak to your end users, or the thinking behind it, and you empathize to the end users, then you understand.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't have that pathway. That's a powerful image, and we've used that several times.
And we can do this in buildings. If you design large, complex buildings like hospitals, we can use connectivity and integration software to test our designs. We can use space syntax internally. That space syntax I used when I was more than 30 years ago, when I was completing my studies in London, and I used space syntax as the model to test the cities that I was designing and that I was proposing. And today it's used in large complex buildings like like hospitals and large. It was even the behavioural patterns of people was using space syntax on the recently completed Sheikh Zayed National Museum in Abu Dhabi to create people's behaviour and to inform the exhibition flows
Yes.
and where people will go and
Nice.
how they will react when
react
they're
to the
within the
space.
spaces.
That's one thing about technology is you get to reenact what will happen in the future.
Yes.
That's really good for
You can test it and learn from it, and it can inform your design, which is critical, really. And also, we need to look at how, when we completed our spaces, when we've handed over our buildings and our cities, we need to go back and to test, see what the performance gap really is from what our models and what our simulations showed us would happen, what in effect does. And again, this is something which we rarely see on a client's brief. We're never invited back to test and to monitor for 2 or 3 seasons after construction, after handover, to see how it is, how our spaces are used.
Maybe after this podcast, they will do that now.
Let's
hopefully,
hope so.
because we know the success of any building will be after when maybe 5 years. Let's say 5 years when people are utilizing the building and they give their feedback on how they experience the building. That's when you said that this building is really successful.
Yes, I think there's always perhaps clients looking to, oh no, now I need to change what we've done and it's going to cost me money. So they don't invite you back because they don't want to know what's not working as well and what can be improved. But on the other hand, as designers, it will enhance our next designs. We'll feed that back into our design process for the next time and improve the designs as we're moving forward. We know that this model gave us X factors when it came to the metrics of building performance and behaviour, and in fact it achieved Y. Why was that gap? What can we do
and
to
learn
reduce
from
that
it?
gap? And we can, absolutely can. So
it's a cycle
critical.
that we learn from it. Is that even though the industry is evolving, clients are evolving, projects are evolving, it's the feedback loop that happens that we learn from the mistakes, or we learn from learnings from this thing and then apply it to the next, and then
Absolutely. Clients come to us because they want us to give them design solutions which are based on performance, based on what we know works. If we have this additional data, we can inform them better and we can produce better designs.
Okay, that's really... I'm running through the Now, in terms of empathy, we're going to be in empathy. I think we've discussed a bit of it earlier as well as empathy as the design tool. Now we'll go to a topic where you're very, very much familiar with healthcare. It's the healing environments. Evidence, not poetry, where it has to be evidence-based. These are healthcare facilities that you have been in the region for designing several healthcare facilities. So we all know that it should not just be about marketing level, and it has to work because we are talking about lives. Would you want to say more about this and explain to us?
Creating healing environments as designers of, let's say, hospitals, we understand the need to create spaces that promotes healing and that promotes recovery for people with the most need, I suppose, the most immediate need. Healing environments in hospital settings. I mean, the Centre for Health Design in 2022, they issued a report which showed how we can, the effects of the design of the spaces can reduce hospital stays by 15%. That will reduce the patient being away from their families and being a hospital patient.
We all know the feeling to be in the hospital. I think one way or another we had this experience.
We've all experienced directly or with close family members and friends. So design, the report showed that design does lower patient stress levels. And the pain levels. So it lowers pain levels. There are other studies which show medications can be reduced in patients who have, in a better design environment, they need to take less medication than patients who are not in such optimal design environments. And so, of course, both these elements plus the element it shows that the surveys show that patient outcomes can be improved
Yes.
by the design factors.
Yes.
And for example, nature.
Yeah.
The looking over nature, bringing nature into the environment which people reside. It can be a very, very powerful tool in recovery. And we know with hospitals, of course, there are patients in there who can't be, they can't be within a natural setting. That they need to be within clinical or isolated sessions. And we certainly, one of our more recent schemes, we designed a hospital for, it was a children's cancer hospital, where the inpatient areas, one section of the inpatient, they were recovering from stem cell transplants. So normally, children in these situations, they can be in hospital isolation for up to 6 or 7 weeks post-transplant. Very, very difficult times for the patient, for the families, and for the clinicians to ensure that no toxins come into contact with the patient or the patient room or the equipment or the food that's going into the room, etc., etc. So in order to do that, we within the hospital itself, we had an atrium. The hospital site was just on the outskirts of a forest, so we knew that the natural environment for people within this area was the greenery of the trees and the planting and the forest setting. So the normal day of life was impacted by the forest. And then we were looking at how these patients who were taken out of the normal environment into an enclosed space, highly controlled, infectious controlled space, and how could we bring the natural environment to them? So we created within an atrium within the large part of the hospital. We had a healing garden. So there were the local trees and stones, and topaz stone, and the types of planting which would naturally grew locally.
Is it climate controlled as well?
All within this healing garden, and we designed patient like pods for the patient rooms became like pods which were set into this garden. It was protected from it fully, totally isolated, but they had views, very wide angle views of the greenery, of the spaces, of the outdoor spaces. So we brought the greenery to the patients who needed total separation from anything of the outside world. So it is possible to achieve what you think is going to be very challenging, or maybe you even consider, clinically we can't do that. But we can look at how we can create these spaces that do benefit every member of our community and our society.
In addition, healing environments doesn't just apply for healthcare facilities. It could also be applied within our own spaces. Primarily, I work on a lot of hospitality projects, and if it's not directly, we call it as a healing environment, but something that heals you from the hustle and bustle of the streets, that you get out of the city, go to a nice hospitality or recreation space, and then experience the views, experience the smell, the touch, all of it together. And that creates the experience of the end user. I think it's more about calming the feeling. As I mentioned, there are those places that are very beautiful, but you don't feel right in it. So that's when intuitively, when you design, healing could be added, not just in any particular industry, but in all spaces that we are designing. So it's not decorative.
No.
It's never decorative. It's more about all these layers of added design input and mindset, critical thinking.
And you must be able to be immersed in it, not just see it or touch it. You must feel it. And this is very important about health and well-being and the environments we create. How people feel our spaces. And that's not usually talked about. That's never on the brief, is it?
It's never on the brief. It's never something, but when you speak to the client that this is how you experience, this is what you're going to experience, something unique about this place. You're maybe on an elevated level, you have this nice view, the breeze, or in healthcare is that, as I mentioned earlier, when there are researches that says patients with a view of nature has better increase in chances of recovering. And most, yeah, it depends. But what we can take from there is that when the designers or the architects behind it know and empathizes and uses that to create a design that helps a person, and that is well-being in itself. So
Absolutely.
it's really, really, really wide, but we don't talk that much about it. It's
No,
yeah.
we need to bring it more to the front.
Yes.
And show what design looks like
No,
and how
well-being is
we
part
can
of
create these
architecture.
spaces, and not just think, oh, we've got light, we've got a green wall over there,
Yes.
we're ticking boxes. Don't tick
No,
boxes.
no,
No, it's
never.
much more than
Never,
this.
never. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's not that. Okay, that's good. It is our civic responsibility to design our spaces, not using decorative items only, but really, really taking into intuition that everything what we design in heals
Yes.
the people within. Now, let's move on to the cities as public health infrastructure. Globally, over 55% of population lives in urban areas. And we know now the percentages of people being burnt out and the stress levels and cortisols. Um, Inactivity, you mentioned about Dubai and UAE aiming for the 20-minute cities. Can you maybe give more information on
Yes,
that?
well, the 20-minute city movement.
I know 15-minute
I
city. That was
I think if it's 15-minute city, then it's really
Is
a
it
half-hour
really?
city, because by the time you get there, you've got to come back as well. So let's look at what we're actually defining. So the 15-minute, 20-minute city.
Yeah.
What it is essentially is having most of your daily amenities and needs
That's
met
close to you.
within your
Yeah,
own community. Yeah. Okay. People who are going to, for example, high-tech broadcasting studios or going to football stadiums, etc., don't necessarily do that
You don't
daily.
need it
So
daily.
you're not going to
Exactly.
have that
Exactly.
within your community. But your needs,
The grocery,
we need groceries,
yeah.
we need schools, we
yeah.
need
Workplaces. yeah.
absolutely, or transport connection
Yes.
places. So
Parks.
yeah, the parks, so many things that can be offered locally.
Sure.
That we need to be able to access easily, walking or by. We have these e-scooters and e-bikes now, so we can go further than what we can on foot, etc., etc. But by passive means of actively getting there, so we can actively arrive and take care of all of our daily needs within our communities.
They
This is
wouldn't have to
important.
worry about getting to places. And this is something that's also part of how old cities are built. That you just go in a place and that's where everything you need is.
Yes.
So I think we're learning from the past as well,
It
technically.
would, and it's how people's homes are clustered together and are connected.
Yes.
So it's like the Bahara here in the region, the traditional souk or marketplace where people would meet, and not only
Every
not only
weekend,
buy
together with
their
your
groceries.
friends. Exactly.
It's a social
The social,
connection
yes,
as
that's
well.
understanding as well, the cultural, the social, all of this are part of
Absolutely.
well-being,
Yes,
right?
Yes, and the access to, we have, certainly I know at one stage here in Dubai, we were looking at mosques were positioned within 500 meters of the worshippers, so they could walk to or easily access daily or to go and utilize and meet each other and to worship in the places which are in the communities.
Yes.
So we need to do this. We need to make sure that all of our needs, not just our food and restaurants, and we've all got Deliveroo, which comes to us.
Deliveries coming over. Yeah, I think a lot of things is when we had the pandemic, when we all have experienced how it is to be isolated, and that's the time when you realize, okay, hold on, my apartment, my villa, is not as sustainable as it is. It doesn't add comfort to me because I'm staying here for 24/7 and see. It just now that sets a different perspective now. The way we design, we include in the spaces for breakout spaces. And now with the technology where everyone else is on their phones, mobiles, even children, now you wanted them to get out and really experience nature.
Absolutely.
And just like
We want to.
how when we were younger, we were forced to go and stop playing and just be inside out. And now it's like pushing them, go out and play. Enough with this.
It's not been ingrained in them. They haven't grown up doing that. And it's true, the lockdown periods that we all experienced, that showed us the defects in the designs of our spaces.
Yes.
Yeah? And so
Like
that
an
brought it
awakening for
home.
everyone.
And it now has created expectations that are different from what they were previous. And so we need to, again, it's the empathy. We need to deliver to the expectations of people who will use the spaces.
Yeah, all this well-being is a
very much
huge, huge topic,
So
really.
everything we've talked about actually goes totally around, comes around and touches each other.
The human,
It's
the
whole-
human
it's
factor is
people.
there.
It's people, yeah.
So cities as public health infrastructure, we've discussed about parks to reduce the stress and shaded plazas and connectivity that you feel not just for you to be able to transport, but you feel safely to go and transport in there. They must be designed with care from the very beginning. And I think within UAE, they're in line with that, and they're aiming for that it has to be sustainable. It will be something as a place for comfort, so that in the end, economically wise, everyone in here will be more creative, productive, healthier. Which is what else? What else do you need? You wouldn't want to leave the country.
No, absolutely.
We discussed this earlier.
Stay home, yeah.
It's like our home, away from our home. But
It's absolutely that.
it's really.
So we do need to design for people and for life.
We've covered a lot of things, to be honest. We've covered about the places that we design. We covered about different industries, from government to civic places to healing environments. But what we haven't covered is the well-being within our profession. And this is a big topic that I think is worth the discussion, and I think we should be open about it, like knowing how much stress we all have within our industry, not just for the designers and architects, but within the construction industry as a major thing. I think in the recent report I have here with me, McKinsey's global surveys show that nearly 1 in 4 employee reports the symptoms of burnt outs. So architecture is not immune to this, and neither though how much we design for, we empathize for the end users, but in the end, it's the profession and the architects and the designers, those in the industry are being challenged in terms of well-being. Would you like to add something to that?
I think it's very true. It's not just architecture; it's everywhere. It's 21st century life. And we need to step back from that. We need to recover what we've had in the past and look at the stresses that we're adding to each other. Why do we walk around with our office in the pocket? We're pulling our phones out all the time for our emails and our WhatsApps. Why? Yeah, we never did that 20 years ago.
We didn't have a time frame, like any time of the day.
So we've put ourselves on call 24/7.
Guilty.
So we need to step back from that. Our employers need to recognise that we all should step back from that. I think within the workplace, these breakout zones that we're now going to include on every design brief that we have is going to be there. We're all going to have pool tables and and fancy coffee machines to congregate by. I think we
just sit close to the coffee machine. I think that's where I sit in my office. It's quite close.
So we need to look at how we can step back from the stresses that we're putting on ourselves, really.
Yeah, true.
This is it. We need to protect our employees,
How
our
can you be
teams.
creative when you're so stressed out? Because
Absolutely.
the creativity.
We need people to be at their very, very best within the workplace and outside of it, so that we can create better, we can live longer, we can have happier and healthy lives together. And it's this connectiveness and togetherness that we need. I mean, we're sitting here now. Will be broadcast later, but we are in Ramadan, and during Ramadan this month we do take the time to reflect more, to be connected more, and to be calmer than normal. We need to expand this experience across throughout the year, and we need to take in Islam we have there's the within Islam, every person is responsible for 7 of his neighbors. So that's ensuring their well-being, ensuring they have what they need, ensuring they're part of the community and we know who they are, and the ups and downs of life we can support them with. We should all do this, all the time, and not just concentrate on 1 month a year. We should continue, all of us everywhere, to practice being connected to each other and understanding each other, empathy. We've spoken about it all today.
Yes.
We just need to put it into practice. Yeah, we know the optimum. Let's do it.
Let's do it. In-house in Godwin Austen Johnson, we have had yoga nights. We have had times where we had to climb a mountain over the weekends. We have stretching. I think those mini activities that is adding into the workplace and the culture increased the level of productivity, the happiness as well within the company, and I think it was successful. And we had introduced that after the pandemic, when everyone was back in the office, suddenly the management shifts like, okay, we need to look at health and well-being and safety. So we have on a weekly basis, we have our health and safety officer sending us a note about how to be healthier this week, and this is your safety note for this week. And we have already a book of that for the full year every week. And then each one of us, when we have the yoga nights and we eat out together, I think those tiny little bits that adds up to lessen the stresses that you get from.
Because it's not all about work, it's not all about business, it's not all about creating and delivering architecture
you
or
get the
design.
most out of your employees, and the team are happier,
and you're supporting each other.
Exactly.
Supporting each other to be the best they can be. And everyone grows from that, everyone gains from that.
Interesting. Now, what would be the future of well-being in design? Maybe we could talk about AI, including AI as well, because in technology, you mentioned about technology being used to test, to test before things happen. Now with AI and earlier within the profession, that actually also adds in a bit of pressure for us, because when client thinks that everything can be done quickly, then there's an imaginary pressure that says, okay, they can finish everything in just that. But that adds in to our stress.
Yes.
What could be the future of well-being in design?
I think it's probably there now, and we just need to recognize it and use it. We can monitor our internal comfort levels. So that's thermal, the humidity, light, etc. There is technology there which switches on the lights when is needed, when it's going dark. So you don't have to think about it. There's technology, we can set our air conditioning to come on and off at specific times. And the same with humidity levels. And the technology recognizes the point, the sweet spot, where it needs to activate change within the system which we're using, which we as humans, we don't notice for a while. We will sit there and it'll be too cold before we get up and go and switch off the AC. We will sit there and it'll be too dark before we go and switch the light on. And the same with humidity. It will recognize it before we recognize it biologically. And so if we utilize more of the smart homes, smart building systems. That takes away the thought process and the thinking, oh, is it getting cold in here? Or I'll just finish this before I go and do something about it.
So true as well in terms of hospitality projects. That's what happened in hotels where you go in and then the AC turns on. When you open the door, the AC turns off because the balcony, all of this. And then it signals to the admin. I think that's part of the operation. There's this system that runs through in the hospitality projects that they have the percentages of how these units are being utilized, and even in schools we have that. So you can track down the statistics and how spaces are being used, the quality of oxygen, and also the light, the usage of electricity, and the water usage as well. So
it's a sustainable approach as well as a health and well-being one. And the technology is there, it's being used, just use it wider. Let's install it in all of our buildings and spaces.
There may be intelligent decisions or smart decisions right at the very beginning when you convince the client that says, okay, are we open to this kind of decisions at the very beginning, or passive design to be introduced. So it's not, there's a misconception that everything is expensive. So I don't think that's the case though, because it's just a matter of applying more the good decisions at the very beginning, but not really. So to remove
it takes away the uncertainty. It takes away the response times, and it will, if your AC switches off exactly when it's the right for your body temperature, that saves you money.
Exactly,
it saves
in the
the
long
energy.
term.
So it's cumulatively, these small steps daily build up.
So well-being also saves you money.
Yes, absolutely. If we were all healthier, we spend less on healthcare, wouldn't we?
Exactly. Okay, it's essential and not symbolic. Can we move on to maybe anything that you see Tangram will be looking ahead for the future, particularly with healthcare and any other industry that you're going to be focusing on?
I think today we're at this transition space, transition point, where we know what we want. We know we need things differently. We have clients who know they want things different as well. The trouble we have with technology today and AI and everything is there's so much choice. How do we know which one is the right one for us in that scenario or that situation? There's so I think that looking at reviewing the data and the analysis of what's available, and using that to promote our designs, to create our designs, and optimize our designs, and to deliver our architecture and buildings. So we're looking now at situations where, for example, Dubai has its 2040 plan, and so we're looking across Dubai at, with such a huge increase in population, how does that affect the social infrastructure? How does that affect the provision for the people moving around the city and accessing their needs? And so we're working on schemes in Dubai which will look at different ways of doing things. We're master planning and designing and working with pilot zones to look at how things can be different for future-proof for more and more people here and for more and more needs. We're looking across Abu Dhabi. We have schemes which building in city resilience, and so that when we have we can bounce back from natural hazardous shocks and incidents and such. We all know about looking at the flooding and such, which is happening across globally, but we've seen it here certainly over these last couple of years. So building in city resilience is key, and it's a key provision that governments are looking at the moment, and so the schemes we have, we're working currently in Africa, in the Hospitals for Africa program, which we've started to develop 4 years ago. With the increased technology and the increased possibility of delivering healthcare remotely. So we can now we now offer healthcare solutions which can be accessed by all, and not just those in major inner cities where acute hospitals can be
Which is
located,
really
but
important,
taking that out into suburbs and beyond that into remote communities. So we're at the stage now, and as you are at Godwin Austen Johnson, where a generation ago, we were bringing in ideas and creating and adapting from external sources what we delivered here in the region.
Yeah, but now
Today,
it's the
what we're doing in the region is being exported.
It's being benchmarked, right?
Absolutely. This is the lessons learned. This is how to do this. This is these solutions to be utilized much wider than what we've that homegrown solutions that we're now exporting. So it's a total come around
it's
in
an
one
exciting
generation.
time. It's an exciting time for everyone. Even in the office with Godwin Austen Johnson, we are very much busy in the education sector, and we are busy as well in the residential sector and master planning and all this well-being and wellness and sustainability integrated, and how you think about the city and how the end users will use the spaces. Even hospitality projects, we're very much busy on those ones. And looking forward, we wanted to see how context still plays within each and every project, and at the same time, it's not aesthetically informed, but informed by how the spaces are being utilized. And as I mentioned, the successes of every building is 5 years from now getting built. It's
and we're all every one of us is facing global challenges, but the design solution, the architecture solution, the city solution has to be locally focused and contextual.
Yeah.
We have a global challenge, but we need to deliver local solutions. Each and every one is different across the world.
It's finding the identity that is suited to that particular place.
Yes.
I think that's quite really important. I do have several questions in here that I wanted us to fire up, and maybe let's discuss this. One simple move that improves well-being.
Awareness. Awareness. If your client puts that in the brief, we're all designing for it. All the end users will. So we need to go to the clients and show them what health and well-being really means for them. And it's not disconnected from them, because they need health and well-being within their own life, the way they live and the way they use their buildings. So every other building and architecture and city needs the same. So we just need to spread awareness. I've delivered in Saudi Arabia health and well-being CPD for the ADC. I do many talks and presentations and panel discussions on health and well-being. So there are many of us here in the region who understand
to get
design
that awareness out, the information out for everyone to understand this is important.
We just need to mainstream it. We need to get it on the platform where everyone understands how important it is.
Yes.
So that's what we need to do for the future.
At the end of the day, we're not just designing for our client, we're designing for ourselves. We are also part of the end users.
Absolutely.
So as architects ourselves and also our families, and that's why I love the profession.
Yeah, it's key.
Because we're designing the future, the present, the past, the future. It's now. I also mentioned earlier about the biggest misconception. Aside from well-being is expensive, is there any other misconception about well-being?
No, I think it's just the understanding of what it means. So it's the understanding what health and well-being means to you. Then that would clarify everything. And you'll say, oh, yes, I understand that now. Whereas previously, perhaps, it hasn't been explained or demonstrated.
There's so many things linked together.
So it's showing, it's a holistic approach to design, which goes hand in hand with everything else we do. And also for health and well-being, we need to showcase it as it's not necessarily on the bottom line when you're adding up all the costs of your project and the delivery. How do you quantify?
We did not discuss about costs in here.
How do you quantify health and well-being? But there is data that shows.
The effect of that.
Exactly. You've mentioned yourself. Students have less days off school.
Absenteeism, and Yeah, really, really. Productivity, the grades.
Office workers have less days off sick. We all benefit from it, so we can.
It's not just physically seen, but it's actually felt.
Absolutely.
Technology, is it an ally or obstacle?
Oh, absolute ally.
Yes.
Once you work out
Agree
which
with you
bit
on
you
this.
need.
Yeah.
There's so many choices.
Yeah, I agree with
absolute
you.
ally, and it helps save us. It improves efficiencies on standardizations and taking the decisions of shall we do this now, shall we do this later, how do we do this. It helps streamline what we're doing, and it helps promote better outcomes for all of our designs.
Yeah, and I think as well for technology, only if it's an ally, only if it serves the people. Not because I think in technology because I want to, and this is it's about ego. Maybe not for the ego, but for the people. I think that's an ally there. Now, nature's role in future buildings. Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we've been looking at, last year I was at UCL in London and looking at how they're growing building elements, how the use of algae and such to create buildings that will be actually alive. So this will be incredible step forward once we understand how this can work and how it can be used in the future. And so we'll have regenerative designs.
Yes.
And it's regenerative that what we need to look to achieve. We all understand sustainability. Many of us, and more of us hopefully soon, will understand
not
health
the
and
marketing
wellness.
one, but the real one.
But the real, yes. And so now we need to understand what regenerative design is and create our cities that will grow.
Nature's role,
Absolutely.
essential. To young designers, any advice?
Yes, come and join us. We need you. Look to. There's so many new things now that is brought into architecture that perhaps over the last generation of my career I haven't been.
For them.
Hasn't been open to me. So for you, coming in now, stepping into a world which looks so very different from what it did when I entered the profession. Sure. There is tremendous change that's happened in such a short period of time. So come and join us. Bring with us your ideas, your thoughts, what you understand, and grow that into different directions than I ever knew were possible when I was entering my career.
For me, my advice for young architects now is before they draw, they would have to listen. Listen to what is needed by your end users. Listen to the brief. Listen. Don't go for the ego, but just listen and be empathetic. That at the end of the day, every building that we design, every space that we design, it's going to be used by people, by living people.
Absolutely. So listen carefully, and act decisively, and deliver consistently.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Sandra, for this very amazing interaction and discussion. I've learned a lot from this discussion, and I truly, it's a privilege to sit in front with you again, not on the stage, but now on a podcast. I really enjoyed having you here.
It's been my
Thank
pleasure.
You so much.
Thank you, Christine.
I think that sets it. We are closing our podcast. What we can say is that well-being is about responsibility. Responsibility in terms of architecture. Architecture shapes health, productivity, behavior, belonging, safety, dignity. Well-being is not a trend. Well-being is inseparable from sustainability. And so I think for architects like us, the main question now is when a person walks into a space that you have designed, what will be the feeling that person you would want them to feel? Would they feel relaxed, comfortable, maybe healthier? I think if the answer is yes, then I think you are designing well and you are designing for well-being. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Index.